not available, it seems. YouTube live link.
Yes. YouTube live link will only start when the session starts, sir.
Okay, got it. Okay.
सर एक मैसेज ड्रॉप कर दीजिए कि आफ्टर 100 दे कैन ज्वाइन ऑन यूट्यूब लिंक
यस
और
मैम, वो मैम
यूट्यूब लिंक
मैम
जी
उनको
सर
जो मैसेज किए हैं ना मैम, जिसमें इनविटेशन लिंक है
जी
उसमें
सर
ड्रॉप कर दिए हैं मैम.
ओके सर ओके
Okay, Samarjit, you can start.
Yes, sir.
You can start.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, faculty members, and dear students. On behalf of Startup Club, I, Samarjit Singh Chabra, with great joy and immense exhilaration, extend my warm welcome to all present over here for this session. Bilay Institute of Technology, Durg, established in 1986, has always provided its students with conducive and supportive academic ambience blended with a strong research and development culture adopted by its faculty members to support various graduate and undergraduate programs. With this, I welcome our chief patrons, Sri Vijay Kumar Gupta sir, Chairman BIT Trust, Sri IP Mishra sir, Secretary BIT Trust, our patrons, Dr. Arun Arora sir, Director BIT Trust, BIT Durg, Dr. Mohan Gupta sir, Principal BIT Durg, Dr. Manisha Sharma Madam, Vice Principal BIT Durg, our conveners for Startup Club, Dr. Shubhrata Nagpal Madam, our advisor, Dr. Satyavardhan Tiwari Sir, our program coordinator for today's session, Professor Alok Kumar Sir, Startup Club Coordinator, Professor Rajkumar Singh Sir, and our Startup Club faculty members, Professor Shubham Dashore Sir, Professor Pushpinder Singh Sir, Professor Vinita Madam. Startup Club aims to create the next generation of industry leaders and entrepreneurs by providing them with necessary guidance and a platform full of opportunities to make their startup dream come true. Now I would request Dr. Shubhrata Nagpal ma'am to address the session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Samarji. Good evening, one and all. Respected Mr. Dileshwar Deshmukh, our today's speaker, and our proud alumni of 2005 batch of BIT Durg. My dear faculty members, my dear startup club members, my dear participants from various engineering colleges of India. Today we are gathered here to learn about the importance of market research in any startup. As you all know, market research is a powerful tool to have while completing your marketing strategy. Having good market intelligence help minimizing risks when taking key in business decisions. So market research is a very important part of any startup. So, my dear students, today we will know about the market research before starting or before going ahead with our startup. On behalf of BIT Durg, I would like to thank Mr. Dileshwar Deshmukh for taking this session for our students as well as for students of different colleges. Now, I welcome you all again and hope this session will be very helpful and very helpful for all our budding entrepreneurs. Thank you, Samarjit. Thank you, one and all. Samarjit, please continue.
Thank you, ma'am. So we are here to have a wonderful session on marketing research. Today we have with us Sir Dileshwar Deshmukh, co-founder and chief operating officer at V2 Technologies, and he is an alumnus of our college BIT Durg. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. Well, I would like to begin with a brief introduction of Sir. Sir is a strategic, performance-driven, and result-oriented operation leader. He is known for creatively leading end-to-end business verticals. He has deep expertise in startups, robotic process automation, Six Sigma, Lean, theory of constraints, Kanban, Kaizen, and S5 principles. He was head of business planning and operations at Aditya Birla Group. He worked at Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail Limited as senior program manager in retail and trade business vertical for international brand from 2018 to 15, and also as head of business planning, marketing and operations in e-commerce business vertical at Aditya Birla Online Fashion from 2015 to 2018. He was business head at Bizon Go Smart Pedal Tech Private Limited Company, India's first B2B startup from 2018 to 2020. He was head of sales and business operations at iBono Smart Farming Private Limited, an agri-tech startup for a tenure of 2020 to 2021. iBono is considered in top 10 agri-tech companies in India by many sites. And currently, Sir is in V2 Technologies, a Singapore-based B2B e-commerce startup. So talking about the awards, Sir has received meritorious at University of Virginia Darden School of Business in project management certification for program and managing the company of the future course distinction from London Business Office School. He has represented Aditya Birla Group twice in Economic Times Young Leader Award. Was also awarded as the most promising newcomer at Aditya Birla Group Time and Action Business Division. He collected 5 gold and 2 silver certificates in various training programs at Aditya Birla Group and was also awarded for presenting case on MFL's supply chain by CII and Asia Supply Chain. We welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Samarjit. Thank you so much. It's my utmost pleasure. I've been gracious. I'm feeling quite happy and gracious to connect with the alma mater again. So shall I start with my session?
Yes, sir, please.
Wonderful. Okay, Samarjit. Thank you so much. So let me just share my screen. Just a moment. Samar, just confirm if you all are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can see it now.
Yep. Okay,
Yes,
wonderful. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Hi, everyone. Hope you all are being safe and doing great. I'm Dileshwar Deshmukh. I'm proud alumni of BIT 2005 batch. I'm honored to have this session with all of you. Feeling very happy to connect with my alma mater once again. I hope that together we shall be able to take away a lot of learnings from this session. So let's get started. So today I won't be able to cover in depth of marketing research because it's quite a vast topic. However, I shall try to bring in some of the important and fascinating aspects which might help you to learn, and it will give you a perspective. It will probably help you like a floating boat to enjoy in the ocean of knowledge. So I shall give a lot of emphasis on importance of marketing research in a startup environment. I shall focus a lot on why marketing research, maybe a little bit on the how as well, because how to conduct a marketing research, you will get enough and more material if you do a Google and the secondary research. but why and what is the importance of it, that is seldom available. And hence, I'll put some more emphasis on that as well. So I'll cover some depth a little bit on the initial part where I'll be talking about the seed, why marketing research is important, and how a startup journey takes fold through the ambition and milestones. And then I'll be probably going deeper with the marketing research as a subject, how to go about it, and what are the various methods, tools, techniques, etc. I'm also expecting to add some more value over the previous speakers who have already taken the session on entrepreneur by Manish ji and startup by Satyavardhan ji. So I hope that I should be able to add some more value on this. Please feel free to let me know if you have any doubts, any clarification in between. Please raise your hands and feel free to interrupt me to get more clarification. So let's get started. Before I start, specifically going on the marketing research, I would like to give you some gist. What's happening in the startup environment and why marketing research is important in the startup. So before we get into the marketing research, let's look at the opportunity that is available to specifically you guys. That's available for this very young generation. If you look at the data that represents the market capitalization, market capitalization is nothing but the value of the company. Like property has a value, right? Any property, which is a land, a building, anything has a perceived value. Similarly, every company has a value that is represented in a term called marketing capitalization. So the data you are able to see on the left hand side of your screen is a market capitalization of top 5 companies in the world in year 2011 on the top, in the bottom in year 2021. So what are your observations? Just look at the data carefully of top 5 companies in 2011 and top 5 companies in 2021. So what are your broad observations? Yes, the top 5 companies in 2011 were very old age companies with an average age of 100 years from the time they have been founded. They are highly mature companies, mostly from oil and energy sector, and they're led by veterans. However, in the year 2021, there has been a complete and dramatic shift. In 2021, they are relatively much younger companies with the average age of 30 years. In fact, if you look at the last 3 companies, they're as old as you, many of you in your age, right? So they're predominantly technology companies led by a much younger entrepreneur. Let's have a look at the another data point. If you look at the year 2021, from the journey from year 2011 to 2021 in this very graph, the blue line represent the young companies and the orange line represent the old companies. And you will see the dramatic shift. The initial 5 years, they were kind of dabbling among each other. They're pretty close to each other. But oh my God, in last 5 years, in just 5 years, there have been a dramatic shift in the young companies. Look at their growth in the market capitalization. There has been tremendous growth in the market capitalization, and they are way ahead of these older companies in the current time. If you were to look at, they are almost like 8 to 9 times old of the older companies put together. That actually talks about it. And this is the data. This is the real data. Is the market capitalization, which is a listed companies in NYSE. This is not any factual data or any fictitious data. So all I'm trying to say is that in last 5 to 10 years, the world has changed a lot. The world has been more receptive to the young companies, and hence, I would like to say and summarize in this very presentation on this slide is that the new world economy belongs to the youngsters. This new world economy belongs to you guys who are at the age of 20 to 30 years. So please, in all of my slide, there is an important summary that is there. Please pay attention to that. And also there are some golden words written on the bottom of the slide, which I wouldn't be talking about it, but please do make a notice of it. So let's move on to the next slide with this takeaway that new world belongs to you guys. Let's take away. Let's move on to the next slide. That what is the opportunity lying ahead of you? If you were to look at particularly in India, what has happened? India is a developing economy, considered almost like a decade behind from the developed nations. So all those top five companies in the previous slide were mostly based out of US. But if you were to look at what has happened in India, there's a fascinating change that has happened. Look at in this very slide. India is a land of opportunities. We already have 35 unicorns. I hope that you all know what unicorn is. Unicorn is nothing but are the companies whose valuation has already crossed 7,500 crore rupees. So those are called unicorns. In fact, this very year 2021, in this 5 months, we have seen the 14 new unicorns adding up in the list of unicorns for India. So India is the biggest land of opportunities. Let's look at a couple of brands which are displayed in this slide. I'm sure many of you, somewhere you would have definitely heard about these brands and would have definitely used a couple of their products. Look at the founders. I have mentioned the founder name and I have mentioned the age, at what age they have founded those particular company. And the point to be noted is that when they founded this company, they were already at a pretty mature and good stage. That is when they found the company with the Registrar of India. However, their hustle and the way they would have thought about founding this company would have started quite before. So imagine, for example, Paytm Vijay Shekhar Sharma started this company in 1998 at the age of 23. However, he started the hustle quite well before. Actually, Paytm was founded in 2010, but the parent company, 197 Communication, he launched in 1998, and this thought process was going way long. Look at the kind of valuation currently they have, and bear this word. This valuation which I'm talking about is in 1,000 crore rupees, is huge. In the matter of just 5 to 10 years, they have been able to grow the company and take up the organization to a huge scale. And all of them were pretty much like you guys, what you are in right now, in the pretty much similar stage. Look at their age. Take an example of Ritesh. When Ritesh founded, this is actually registered his company with India. He was just 20-year-old. Currently, his company OYO is valued 75,000 crore rupees. Can you believe it? Bhavish Agarwal, when he started Ola, he was just 25-year-old. Zomato, which is very soon going to be listing, they are launching their IPO, was just 26-year-old. I'm sure many of you are cricket enthusiasts. Most of you would have used Dream 11. When Bhavish Sheth started this company, he was just 21-year-old. Many of you would be very soon would be this age, and in fact, at your age, they were doing all of this hassle. Even they wouldn't have thought about it that they will be able to grow and reach to such a stage, but they continued with their struggle, and they were able to reach the stage where they are right now. They have been the successful entrepreneur and able to launch such big companies. With this thought, let us move on. So what it takes to, let's look at the life stages of various youngsters. They are pretty much like us, with slight difference in the way they think and operate. It's nothing but our own journey. If you were to look at it, their journey and our journey has no very different. It's pretty similar. So let's look at the typical journey, how we all start. Most of us have a desire to have a successful career, a meaningful and successful career. Now, the meaning of success in our own mind can be different, but traditionally it has been threefold. If you were to look at what we aspire to become in our life is as follows. Number one, we want to do a work every day that we are proud of, and we like to do that work. And it will be really great if that work is somehow has been a great contribution to the nation, to the society. So that's number one ambition. Number two, we all want to earn a handsome money to afford appropriate lifestyle depending upon our choices. And third, this too should be sustainable. It should not last little time. In fact, it should be sustainable for a longer duration. If you're able to achieve this, we all call ourselves that yes, we as a professional have been able to attain a successful career. Very much similar, all of this entrepreneur, they want to start their own company. which goes through a similar phase, but it has a similar ambition that a company that has been able to contribute to the nation, they're able to earn some money in a sustainable manner. So let's look at how our own journey, the kind of decisions we have taken in past, is pretty much like their journey. And I try to correlate a lot that you can be among one of those leaders that I just talked about because you have also been in the similar path. Just that you need to take slightly different actions, which will put you on that particular space. So let's look at how has been our journey so far. So in primary school, we were introduced to a concept of learning, right? We were just beginning to learn and we were understanding the very, very conceptual stuff in primary school. While we moved to the middle school, we started to learning the bigger things, the bigger subjects, etc. We were introduced to the concept of subjects, and the subjects are very important to choose the career path. And then we start to understand how our career can shape up eventually. Then in high school, we learn about different streams and conduct through research. So basically, we do the research before we take the biggest decision of our career. So there are several opportunities to us: biology, science, commerce, arts, and then we do a lot of research that which stream we would want to choose, because essentially our career, our professional career will depend upon whatever stream we are choosing it, isn't it? And at the same time, to pursue a graduation and a post graduation, that stream is a very expensive affair. We need to spend a lot of money. So we take a very conscious decision before spending so much of money. We choose very, very carefully that which stream we want to go about it. And once we successfully complete our studies, I would say that yes, that was the childhood state of a professional gets over. And after that, what we achieve is a adolescent state of professional. Now we are embarking a journey which is a professional state. And now what happens is that we get into a job, we begin to learn, we gain a massive industrial experience, but most of us aren't sufficiently paid in our initial job because we are much more focused on learning. And hence, what we do is that we change the job, we shift, and we start to monetize of whatever learning. We ask for a salary hike, etc. Only after we have learned, right? So we bargain for higher salary. And once we bargain for higher salary, we are able to get a good salary where we are able to, live a successful life. We try to create our niche that, okay, this is the area I'm going to operate for next couple of years. And we try to strengthen ourselves. And then we cement ourselves in the industry, in the institute, whatever, be it a professional, be it a profession of teaching, be it a profession of, engineering, or maybe a commerce, CA graduate, as a doctor, whatever it is. Pretty much, if you were to look at most of us, we follow the same pattern, we follow the same path in our lifestyle, right? Now let's look at what we have gone through. The company and the startup also goes through a pretty similar life stage. In a company, for initial stage, a company is formed with a concept, with a thought process. For example, let's say Vijay Shekhar Sharma started Paytm. At that point in time, he envisioned, he thought, eventually some point in time, some people will use mobile for payments, and that's how he launched this brand called Paytm, pay through mobile. So it was at a concept stage at that point in time. But before investing heavy, what he did is that he actually did the lot of studies. He learned about it, and that when a company, before a company succeed, it has to pass through a journey. Before it become a successful company, it has to pass through a journey. So initial phase, you figure out a concept that which business they will be running, on which they will be operating. Then they will do a lot of experimentation on the future possibilities. And that experimentation will happen through alpha and beta, testing. Then they will create a minimum viable product, and they will do a pilot, a small experiment in a particular segment, a particular area. And then once they're very, very confident, they choose a market where they will do the pilot, they will launch in the pilot before a massive investment. After a successful pilot, like we in our own journey, we did a lot of research कि भाई मुझे maths लेना है, commerce लेना है, biology लेना है. because we knew that it's going to be expensive affair, both in terms of time as well as money. They also do a pilot. So after they successfully done the pilot and understood, they got all the data, they are pretty confident, yes, we are now big to launch, and they go out. And then they do a full launch. After that, a company turns to adulthood. In the adulthood of the state of the company, they focus on pretty much like what we do. They focus on growth, increase their learning of the childhood stage, revenue to monetize from this, make more money. The next stage is to become profitable, achieve break even. By becoming profitable, they earn more money, which they will be able to fund themselves and grow the organization. And then they seek for the stability. So they are able to create an identity for themselves in the market so that their business is stable, and eventually they create a sustainable model, creating a moat. Moat is nothing but a castle that you're building a big killa castle that nobody else can stop you or can destroy you easily. And then hence you start to create your strength. So that's how the journey of a successful company, pretty much like a successful career that we aspire, pretty much like company also looks forward in their ambition to become a successful company. What we should try to do in this session is that we will focus a lot on the childhood stage of the company. Why? Because that is where we call them a startup. And startup journey is a immense valuable journey, initially very very difficult, but if it succeed, the gain is big. It's very 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 big gain as compared to being an employee. And you have already seen in the previous slide that all of these gentlemen who were able to start at the early in the 20s of their journey now have been able to do a meaningful job. They have created such a wonderful company that they are employing so many people. They have earned good money, and now they are starting many other businesses. So we'll focus more on the startup, and we'll learn that what it takes to build a startup and how marketing research will help to build those startups. Let's look at a couple of nuances of the startup. A startup has a very low immunity, right? So let's more often or not, a startup begins with a very very low experience, right? Because they start in a very early stage and with a very low funding, with a very low money, and hence it has low immunity, and they are highly vulnerable to fallout. It is highly likelihood of it's like a newly born baby, which has less knowledge and less immunity against virus to fight. Hence, it needs a lot of care and supervision. But this baby has a lot of energy and enthusiasm and curiosity to learn, which will make it one day a shining star. Similarly, in a company, there are a lot of young employees who are high in energy and have a lot of curiosity to learn. And if these people are able to sustain in the startup phase, the childhood, they will be able to make a renowned company for the world. Yep. So let's look at what are the various milestones and the success for the success of a startup towards the adulthood. So when they become a successful company, which are the milestones they have to go through, right? So it needs to have a very, very strong business plan. A business plan is something which actually talks about the thoughts and the purpose, that why this company exists. It also talks about the strength and the weakness of this organization. They have a financial plan which will actually help to persuade the investors to put the funding in the organization. And it also talks about very, very clearly that what are the risks and the challenges for the organization. So it is a business plan. It's a very different topic altogether, which we may discuss in a later stage. But first stage is to create a business plan. After creating a business plan, they create a go-to-market plan. Is whenever they are going to the market, with what would be their various aspects of the hitting the market. So what they do is that before going to the market, they need to know that which market they would be operating, what is going to be their positioning, what is going to be messaging to communicate to the customers, what is going to be their branding strategy, market and hence they conduct a lot of market research. They also figure out the product and the service market fit in go-to-market plan. After that, once they are ready with the go-to-market plan, they do a pilot. Pilot is nothing but experimentation. Pilot is also into the various stages. Careful, very, very carefully, they do a alpha pilot launch, which is the initial plan. They launch it, get the feedback, then they do a beta launch. They understand, and again, they get the feedback. With enough, gathering the enough, knowledge with the pilot, they go for the full-fledged launch. In the full-fledged launch, they spend a lot of money into the marketing, in the distribution of the product, and they do a lot of, the media planning, etc. All of this is a very, very expensive affair. Like I mentioned that before we decide that where would you want to do your graduation and post-graduation, which is the expensive affair, you do a lot of experimentation in your high school, higher secondary. Pretty much company also does that. They do a lot of pilot and go-to-market plan, etc. Now, what happens in this journey, before they launch, they have to answer a lot of questions in each of this stage. Like in the B plan, they have to answer these questions, like what is the idea they're going to be working about? What's the mission, vision? Why they're starting right now? What are the risks and what are the opportunities? Similarly, for go-to-market, what's the value proposition they're going to be offering to the customers? Who is the market? How large is the market? What is the current trend? And to do the pilot, they need to know who is the target, whom they will be conducting the pilot. Who are the customers? What are their behavioral patterns? What are the complementary products and the services they're going to offer? Which location they will be conducting the pilot? And before launch, they need to know that how are they going to engage the customers? How are they going to communicate about the brand? What are going to be the standard operating procedures, the risk and the rewards for the employees? And what are the fallback options if anything goes wrong? A lot of questions, right? Similarly to our stage, it also happens as in when we have to decide that which graduation or post-graduation stream we're going to do, we have a lot of questions in our mind. And we often get confused what to do. Same thing company also goes through. They also do not know. As in, they also have a lot of choices and they are highly, highly confused what to do. So what happens in this particular stage, while they are confused, while they are thinking, they are stuck what to do, there's something that comes into help. Okay. Now, what a company does is that, like most of the students, they go for the counselor, they reach out to many people, to get their perspective, and they also talk to many people. What companies does is that they take a stand rather than going out and doing some random activities. They take a systematic approach that is called marketing research. So what is market research? It's a process of systematically investigating the market for a given product and service, gathering and analyzing the data regarding the number and location of customers' interests, preferences, and their buying habit. So basically, marketing research is nothing but we conduct a research in the market, knowing more about customers, what do they want, and how they want it, and try to understand that what are their needs and want. The objective of marketing research is to gain insight about a market to help company formulate its business and the marketing strategy. And hence, for startups, is very, very essential. Why? Because the startups do not have much money. And they are very, very, I talked about their immunity is very, very less. They have less money, they have less time, less experience. If they go wrong, the chances of failure is very, very high. And hence, a good marketing research for a startup is very, very important. Through understanding of the needs and want of your target market, it can be a difference between a success and the failure. So more often or not, data suggests that 90% of the startup fails. Where only 10 out of 100 companies are able to sustain from the childhood to the adulthood of the company. And data also suggests the very reason this 90 companies are not able to make up to the adulthood stage is because they have not done enough marketing research. They do not know their customers really, really well, that what exactly their customer wants. If they know their customer, they will be able to align their product, their services, their their in-house company structure and their investors accordingly. And hence, for the success of a startup, the marketing research is extremely important. Yep. So let's look at is marketing research is answer of all of the questions? Maybe no. Absolutely no. Let's look. See, we had various questions to answer to become a successful company. What marketing research does is marketing research is an attempt to answer most of the questions, not all, but yes, most of the questions. But these are the questions which are very important questions. So a good marketing research provide answer to most of the important question that company looks up to before going to the full-fledged launch. These are the most of the answers are actually about the market segmentation, the customer pain point, competitive analysis, the pricing analysis, the market planning, and the media landscape, etc. So this is so far what we talked about is that why we should go about the marketing research. So I'm hoping that you guys are very clear that what is the opportunity lying ahead of us. There are few people who started at a very young age, pretty much like years. They did all of this activity and they're able to build a successful company right now. And they are very small name. There are many people out there, many companies out there in the in India. They have been able to make a successful organization for themselves. And I mark my word, today it is much easier as compared to it was 10 years, 15 years earlier, because at that point in time it was more driven by the money used to define. If you have a money, you may or may not, you may have a successful company. But today, money is not just a only criteria. If you have a good knowledge, if you have a good mindset, you can be among them, right? So let's look at how. So far I talked about why marketing research. Let's talk about how to conduct a marketing research. It can help you to start. It can help you. It can it can be a weapon for you to start your own startup. So in a typical marketing research, if I were to say there are various methods to categorize. Some will categorize into the two forms, saying that there are quantitative methods and then there are qualitative methods. Quantitative methods are nothing but in the methods where you get the data very easily. Whereas in a qualitative method, you get a statement, right? However, there are other ways to categorize online and offline. See, categorization doesn't matter. What really matters is how. What are the approach you're going to take, right? So let me just talk about it. To conduct a marketing research, there are various options available to you. Few of the options which are called quantitative methods are survey. You can conduct a website-based a social survey, or you can conduct a in-person survey. Then the qualitative method is you can conduct a focus group interaction with your prospective customer. From you take a sample of your customers and you do a discussion with them and you understand that what do they want, etc. Other method is one-to-one interviews. And the last method is a behavioral research. So this sixth method, you can classify, be it a quantitative, qualitative, online, offline, doesn't matter much. But there are so far only this six options are available to conduct a marketing research. All of the six, if you were to broadly classify, we can classify the six into the four sections. One is the surveys. These two web and in-person surveys. These are the most commonly used because it is much easy and the most economical. And has most of the startup, while they're launching, they tend to take this route because it's easy and economical. The other way is to go about a focus group discussion. You call your sample sizes, okay? There are a set of people, and you have an interaction with them, and then you learn. But this is the most dangerous form of conducting a market research, because what happens is that more often or not, in a focus group discussion, there is a strong possibility of creating a bias. Bias means there are, let's say, 10 people. The initial 2 people, they start to talk about it. The later 8 people, when they hear them, their opinion might change. And hence, This is the most dangerous one. Easy one, but dangerous one. Be aware of. Another way to counter this bias is to conduct an interview. One to one, you are talking to your prospective customers, and you are getting the data. You're getting the insights from them, which we'll discuss in later slides, that how to go about it. And the last and the most, so interviews are the most insightful, because when you discuss one-to-one with your prospective customers, they will share with you a lot of information, which I discuss in further slides. But this is the most insightful, although a time-taking, might be a costly affair, but it is very, very insightful. But the most powerful research is the secondary research and the behavioral research, which is done on the observation. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money also, but this is the most powerful. In a current generation for you guys, as in, there is enough data available out there in the Google, in the web form. And hence, before conducting any of thing, you can get a lot of data from the others. You can learn from others' experience, and that you can utilize. So you have a good ground before you get started, right? So let's understand each of them in detail. So before I go into the detail that of each of the stages, each of the techniques, how to conduct a market research is very, very important. That there has to be a discipline around it. So typically, to conduct a marketing research, what happens is that there are various stages. First is the planning stage. In the planning stage, you define your goal very, very clearly. So if you remember, in the previous slide, I talked about each of the startup goes through a multiple journey, right? This stage. Each of this stage in a company, you can conduct a marketing research, but your objective will be different. For example, if you conduct a marketing research at this stage, you are working on a concept and you're trying to validate that concept. If you're doing a marketing research at this stage, you're gathering the data about the market, about your customer, about the competition out there. If you're conducting a marketing research here, you're basically doing the launch analysis, that how does your launch goes. If you're conducting marketing research here, it will be more about the growth. How can you grow your business very, very fast? Over here, the marketing research will focus upon the profitability. How can you make more money? Over here, it is like, how can you establish yourself as a very, very strong organization, right? So in a marketing research, it is very, very important that you need to have a very clear-cut objective. The goal should be very defined, that what are you going to achieve from that research? What is that you're aiming and targeting? And hence, from that objective, you try to do the secondary research. What is secondary research? I mentioned that people have already done the primary research and they have uploaded their information in the website, in the Google. So secondary research is nothing but you take help of Google and the online web sources, and you try to find out the pattern. You analyze those data sets. It will help you and give you some foundation, some setting up. Next step is before you launch a marketing research, you need to do a lot of preparation. What kind of preparation? You basically you develop a survey questions, and then you also develop an interview question. If you're conducting an interview, you depute a surveyor. You basically recruit interviewees who will be interviewing the customers. Third stage is the execution. So you defined, you prepared for it, you are ready with your questionnaires, that what are the questions you're going to be floating in a survey or you'll be asking to your customer, then you execute. These are the people who goes and conduct the survey and the interviews. They collect the data and you summarize the data, right? After you have summarized and conducted the interviews, you analyze the data that you have gathered from this survey, marketing research survey, or the interviews. You find out those data, you review the findings, and then you develop the conclusions out of this. After you have concluded, you have enough knowledge about the market, you discuss and decide that what is the action you're going to be taking. So decide that what are you going to do different that your customer will like it, and then you do the implementation. So let's look at how to go about it. So in a planning stage, what happens is that a company is chasing different objectives in each of the stage. I just talked about it. And as market research will have to be very, very different in each of the stages. That will depend upon largely that what stage or what objective you are chasing. So you define that what is the key goal. You are validating the concept, etc. So in planning stage, you do a lot of secondary research. Okay, that before you launch and you do anything, you do a lot of research. You already try to learn from the others' experience, and you have some data available with you how to go about it. After that, broadly try to identify who are your target audience and what are their qualification criteria. That whom are you going to conduct the research and how are you going to select them. For example, when Paytm was launched, he would have definitely understood that the target audience are the one who have the mobile, first of all, then who have the internet connection, because through mobile they will be transacting, and the other set of people who are actually very often they're doing the transaction, right? So those kind of audience you're going to be targeting. And then you are trying to prioritize your goal, because I talked about it in various stages, various objectives you are chasing, that which objective is the most important. And with that objective, you try to find out the answer from your marketing research, right? So before you conduct the marketing research, you need to do a lot of preparation. So in the preparation, you create a lot of materials, before you do the primary research. So you build and list various questions that you'll be floating, right? So you prepare a discussion guide for the survey questions. You also prepare a target interview list and the interviewer list, and you schedule the survey and the interview. The most important thing in this stage is a question, that what kind of question you will be asking. So typically, when you're conducting a survey, there has to be some warm-up questions to your customers, prospective customers. You make them feel comfortable. So how do you warm them up? You gather the basic demographic details. What is their name? What is their age? What's their income? What salary band do they have? And then at times, many people are not comfortable talking about their salary. So you try to get some alternative questions like, okay, how many car do you have? Which brand of bike or car do you use, right? So these are a couple of warm-up questions which will talk about your customers. Then you start your questionnaire with the opening questions, like why do they shop? Why do they buy? And how do they buy? What are the means and the communication? When do they buy? And where do they buy? So these are some opening questions, very, very broad level questions. You give the opportunity to your customer. They discuss and they share this information with you. In this process, you should definitely be asking a couple of direct questions, specifically about your competition and the product or the service, whatever you are launching. That what are their current preferences and why are those preferences? Why are they going to that very shop or that the service provider again and again? What is that? And then what is their specialty? Couple of indirect and the open-ended questions should also be asked, that will particularly focus on the likes and the dislikes. And this is the most important question. That's where they will give you the clue that what is that they like in your competition in the product, what is that they do not like, and what they do not like is the opportunity for you, for your startup, that you can focus and build your strength on that particular area where competition is weak, where they're not very, very smart. So how do you execute? After you have done the enough preparation, you have prepared a lot of questions, what kind of questions you will be asking, and these questions are related to certain target objectives, you execute. So while you execute, what you actually do is you roll out a survey or you conduct the interviews. It is very, very important that how can you record the information in a very, very careful manner. While you are rolling out a survey, be careful in your survey. If the questions are too many, your customer might not be agree to conduct a survey. If your questions are too less, you might lose on the opportunities. So you need to balance out the number of questions in your survey. Similarly, while you're conducting the interviews, the time and the questions you need to appropriately design, right? The most important thing is that is a very important step. You are investing your time, energy, and money. So record as much as you can. Observe them very, very carefully. How are they conducting the survey? How are they, what are they talking about it? If possible, during the execution, while you're conducting the survey and interview, you realize that something is not going right. Something is off the course. Stop immediately. It is very, very important that you should not continue with a fault. If you find something is not right, stop immediately. Course correct, not the customer. As in one customer, you understood that it has not gone the way you wanted. So review the insights in between, course correct for the next set of customers so that you're not repeating that mistake for the next set of customers. It is very important when you conclude the survey or the interviews, summarize your finding so that you are able to understand that yes, in your survey you are able to broadly cover the aspect what we started with, right? So next step is to analyze. Now, while conducting the survey, you have asked a lot of questions to your prospective customers about the market, about the competition, and about various other things, right? You have gathered a lot of data. The important thing is to analyze this data. So to analyze the summary, what the key activity is that you analyze the summary, right? To analyze the summary, there are various tools and the techniques are available, which I'm not discussing in this very subject, but I tell you how to go about it. So there are various quantitative methods which you can learn. I'll be sharing a link with you where you can learn about all those tools and techniques. But the important thing is that you have gathered very, very important data. So apply the tools and then use the various charts to find out the pattern. You would have seen the various investigators. They try to find out the clues and they put onto the white chart and they try to find out the patterns. Similarly, there's the activity in this particular stage. Whatever data you have gathered from the customer, you put through those tools, you go through those informations, and you try to find out the patterns. Once you're able to find out the pattern, try to identify the reason. What is the behavioral reason that your customer chose to act in a particular manner? If you're able to find out the reason, my dear friend, you are done. Your marketing research is successful. And the better the reason you are able to identify, like I was talking about the opportunity in that market, nobody can stop your startup to become a successful startup. So attach those reasons with those main questions that you were trying to answer at the very beginning when you started the marketing research, right? So in the next step, while you are able to identify the behavioral patterns, the reasons, you translate those behavioral patterns and reasons to the action. As an organization, as a startup, what are the actions you're going to take, right? So you basically deduce. So basically, there are various hypotheses that you have already identified, and you have also gone through a lot of realization while you discuss with customers. Okay, and the most important thing is that many occasions before we talk to the customers, we have a lot of apprehension in our mind. We have a lot of thought process that it should work in this way, that way. But actually, many times the myth is broken when we spoke to the customers. When we speak to the customer, customers always tell us the truth, that what do they want. So it is very, very important that a lot of realization that has happened, translate those realization into plan of action. That what are you going to do? And it has to be pretty different than anybody else does it. Otherwise, you might not be able to achieve a different kind of result. So try to have a differentiated plan of actions, and then at last implement the lot of learnings that you have. You have a lot of learning that has happened in this very process. So that's how the marketing research is conducted. To quickly summarize, I talked about various methods to do the marketing research. Broadly, the classification is qualitative and the quantitative, online, offline. There are 4 to 5 techniques, be it a survey, be it an interview, be it a secondary research or observations. The steps to do marketing research is basically you do the these are the steps. It starts with a good amount of planning, then preparation, execution, analysis, and then you end up taking the action. So this is all about marketing research, my friend. In order to do the summary, all I have to say is this: if you want to create a successful startup, you need to keep a lot of things in the mind, which I spoke in my previous slides, and few of the golden words which you would have noticed in each of this slide, right? The summary is as follows: if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, if you want your startup to be successful, it is very, very important that you are focusing your energy not to become perfect. Do not wait to become perfect. You have to be just better than your competitor, right? So don't wait to attain a perfect stage. Rather, just understand in the market when are you good to go and you are better than your market, better than your competitor. You have a good proposition. You are able to find that gap where the competition is not good and nobody is offering anything, or you have a better edge. If you're good to go, launch it. Nobody can, stop to make you to become you successful. At the same time, never ever underestimate your competition. And at adulthood stage, always keep a watchful, always be watchful to your competition. What are they doing? If you have become number one, number two in the industry, keep pushing your limit so that you are always ahead of your competition. And this is the most difficult stage, how to attain that. Even in our career, we feel that even in our career, while we are studying, while we become professional, we 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 all want to be successful, but it is very difficult for all of us that how to become successful. And that's where all these companies apply a particular methodology and technique that helps them, and you can in fact apply in your own life. Let's look at this. The most important thing, this philosophy is called L&E. The L&E is essentially about the learning that you need to learn to grow, and every day you need to implement that. So basically, if you're doing the same job, every day, you will be there where you are. You won't be able to grow. But if you're able to learn just 1% more every day, look at the impact you are creating for yourself. Every day you are able to learn something new, you will be 38 times ahead of where you are by not learning anything. And this is exactly company also expect. The companies needs to constantly learn, grow, learn, grow, learn, grow. And that is what they try to do every day, learn something. And everyday learning is a very, very powerful thing. It's very, very difficult, but it's very, very powerful thing. Look at the difference. They are 38 times higher ahead of us who are able to learn every day. But there are few people who not who are not even learning. They are not doing the stuff. They are not doing the stuff. Actually, they are not learning. In fact, they're losing their time. So if you lose your time, if you lose your learning, 1%, just 1% every day, look at, you will be 1,500 times behind than what you could be. And my dear friends, unfortunately, this is the harsh reality between those people who have featured on those. They have been able to build a unicorn companies. They have been learning every single day, very, very hardly. It's very, very difficult. Be it a topper of any university, be it a topper of any organization who is the biggest, who is the fast learner, who has been the best employee, or be it a successful entrepreneur. They all have been doing two things very, very consistently. They have been learning, and they have been very, very persistent in their learning every day. And hence, they have been able to develop. They have been able to develop phenomenal research. Similarly, in a marketing research actually helps you to get this information, what to learn. In our life also, we need to do a lot of research that what to learn. But it's very, very important if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, if you want to create a successful organization, keep conducting the research. Be 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 watchful of what your market is offering, right? So that you become a successful organization and you become a successful company. and that will be the difference between a unicorn, or let's say a successful organization, or a mediocre company. So with that thought, I would like to end my session. But before I end my session, what I would like to do is that I'm sharing a link over here, and I can share with Alok, and eventually you can go through this particular link. This link is a e-learning course. This is a good 6-hour e-learning course. In my session, I've been able to talk about the various tools and the various methodology and the technique. What I have not been able to show or demonstrate is various tools and the techniques that will help you to conduct a market research. Because of the copyright issues, I have also not been able to discuss various companies, how did they conducted the market research, various examples. If you enroll for this particular course, is a 6-hour course, and if you enroll for this particular course, you will be able to learn various tools, techniques, lot of examples, and it will really help you, it will help you to learn more about the marketing research in the depth. So with that thought process, I would like to end my monologue here, and I open the session for the question and answers. So open to you guys. Please feel free to ask any questions should you have in your mind. Do not restrict it to the marketing research. If you want to ask any question with regard to the startup environment, the startup ecosystem, because I have been part of this environment and ecosystem in the bigger MNCs, in a smaller companies. In my capacity, I will try to answer all your questions in a very, in the best possible manner. So please feel free to answer you. Please feel free to ask anything should you have in your mind. Samajit, you're there? Samajit, you're on mute.
Yes, sir.
I hope that there might be few questions. Yeah, please let me know.
Yes, sir. I'm waiting for them.
Is there anybody having any query?
Although because of the Zoom session or Google Meet session, virtual session, it was a monologue. I tried to make it more interactive. Typically, I prefer to have a very interactive sessions where I'm conducting.
Question from Dheeraj, I think. Dheeraj
Yeah,
Kumar
yeah.
Rajat.
Yeah, please. So guys, please ask any question should you have with regards to the startup. Anything in your mind, I'll be more than happy to share my perspectives on this. Yes, please.
Sir, when I start our startup, which is the best time to analyze market?
Okay, good question. So like I mentioned that to analyze the market, there's always a best time. And analyzing the market is a continuous process. If you remember in one of my slides, I mentioned that a startup goes through various stages. There is a childhood stage, in a concept stage, in a MVP, then there's a market segmentation before launching, and then after it, adulthood reaches the adulthood. I would say that marketing research is a very important. Right from day one, you should constantly doing it. So whenever you have a concept or the idea in your mind, I would advise that go ahead, start the marketing research, analyze your market. What you may do is that depending upon your funding available, or depending upon your time available, you may choose various techniques, various tools to gather the information. But to answer your question, is always the best time. Go ahead and do that as much as possible. Maybe start small, but go ahead and do it. Do not wait for the right time. Once you conduct and start the marketing research, you will understand and you'll get more and more information about your market, and that will help you and excite you to do more. So ideally, whenever you are clear, you are determined that yes, you want to do something, you are excited about something, go ahead and do it. Good question. Next.
Thank you.
Sir, there's another question from Vishwadeep. What is marketing research of Zomato?
Okay. It's like an encyclopedia. To be very honest, I cannot share in next 2 to 5 minutes what is marketing research of Zomato, but I can tell you the perspective. If you go and search in Google, if you exactly write the same words, you will get various secondary research that has happened on Zomato's business model. And that's how likes of Swiggy and various other companies have started. You know, I'm already, in my previous organization, I was I had partnered with a small firm based out of Mumbai. They are the IITians 2017 pass out. They started this company, not a very famous one right now, but they started it, and they were basically inspired by Zomato. And yes, Zomato is a very very big company now. And I'm very sorry I'm skipping this question, but I'll tell you the broad principles where Zomato is operating from. While Dipinder Goyal started this organization, I do not know whether you're aware or not, he started this organization like it will be helping the customer to choose that which are the restaurant they would want to go and go and dine. It was started like a restaurant rating platform, restaurant review systems. So that's how it started. The money they were getting was very minuscule, very very small. But eventually, if you were to look at now, their business, they are pivoted into the home delivery food segment, not just home delivery food segment. In fact, various other things. In fact, they started the Pro. They are now getting the money from the customers also. They are getting the money from the restaurants. In fact, Swiggy took it to the another level. Swiggy had started delivering the vegetables in metros. They have started delivering the vegetables and the grocery. In fact, they have started delivering the documents also. They're doing the courier services also. So the marketing research is that in this particular business model of Zomato and Swiggy, they started something, they got into something that they realized when they conducted a market research, they realized, भाई मैंने तो restaurant rating से start किया था, but there's a huge opportunity for delivery business. उन्होंने वो कर लिया. They started with a delivery business, food delivery business. They realized कि मेरे पास में लोग हैं, खाली बैठे हुए हैं. Why can't I use them for grocery and food delivery, fruits delivery? Why only ready-made food? उन्होंने वो business में they got into that business as well. उसको they went to one level ahead. अब उसके बाद में वो फार्मेसी, आपकी मेडिसिन, आपका डॉक्यूमेंट्स, अगर मुझे यहाँ से किसी बैंगलोर की किसी दूसरे पार्ट में किसी को डॉक्यूमेंट भेजना है, आई कैन कॉल अ स्विगी गाय राइट नाउ. Within an hour, they will be able to deliver. All of this they were able to learn by doing the marketing research. They were able to constantly get engaged with their customers, and they were able to do the market research. So those are the broad areas how to conduct marketing research, etc. You will get enough and more material in the this e-learning course. I would advise to go through that. But yes, those are the broad nuances and the opportunities of conducting the market research, and that has actually opened our entire Pandora box for all these companies. Yes, please. Next question.
Yes, sir. Another question is from Kunal. Which companies are unicorn companies?
Okay, again. So what I would like to do in this companies in this session is that I would not like to demonstrate the general knowledge session. You can do a Google and you'll get a list of those 35 unicorn companies in India. Out of those, the 5 to 6 top unicorn companies I have already shown in my website, in my third slide. If you are watchful, you would have noticed. But if you have any particular question, the nuance of those unicorn companies, how they become unicorn, because each of those companies, they have a wonderful, fascinating story. None of them had ambition, or none of them would have thought that they will become unicorn. They all started with very small ideas, but eventually they were able to do a very beautiful market research, a perfect execution, were able to become a unicorn. So if you have any particular question like, okay, यार ये पेटीएम इतना बड़ा India's biggest unicorn कैसे बना? So that has a journey. In 1998, Vijay Shekhar Sharma started this company. He struggled big time. In 2010, he was able to formally found Paytm, but still he was not able to grow big. Paytm became big only after द ग्रेट डिमोनेटाइजेशन ऑफ इंडिया, उसके बाद में तो एकदम रिवोल्यूशन आ गया, उसके पहले भी था, थोड़ा थोड़ा एडॉप्शन था, but that actually helped. It actually propelled the growth. Similarly, for the likes of Zomato and Swiggy, lockdown actually helped them to grow their business tremendously. They never thought that they can grow so big, so fast. But there are various nuances. So actually, yes. The answer to your question, what are unicorn companies? Friend, please do the Google. But if you want to learn the story भी Google में है, I'll be able to share with you. The key insight is that all of them, nobody has thought कि इतनी बड़ी कंपनी बनेगी. They're all like you. वो सब आपके जैसे बिल्कुल नॉर्मल लोग हैं. The only difference is that they started and they persisted with their thought process and they were able to make it big. Yes, sir. Next question.
Good evening, sir. Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Am I audible?
Yes, please continue.
Yes, sir. Myself, Mohammad Dani, and I'm in my currently final year of engineering. Sir, I have an idea, and after choosing the idea for startup and the market research, how can I get the funding, and what are the options for the funding, and how can I approach?
Wonderful. What I'll do is that I will share this presentation with you guys, and then I'll share the link with Samarjit and Alok. Eventually, he will be able to circulate. If you remember in one of the slide, I mentioned that a startup has to go through certain stages. वो $1 million slide है मेरे भाई. वो slide को ना चिपका करके अगर आप करना चाहते हो,
I've taken the screenshot.
या बस उसको चिपका देना. उस slide में आप देखना, मैंने लिखा हुआ है कि which are the questions that you need to answer. Okay. And then there are like आपको B plan बनाना पड़ेगा, आपको GTM बनाना पड़ेगा. You have to do everything. So typically to go for the funding, which is the fourth stage, is the funding. You need to be very clear with your B plan, your business plan. Your business plan is 2 to 3 things. आप Google करना आपको पता चल जाएगा. और I can take a differentiation कि business plan कैसे बनाते हैं. What are the nuances of business plan? जैसे marketing research के बारे में मैंने बताया. I can take up a session क्योंकि मैंने 10-12 साल वो ही किया है. Aditya Birla Group में for various businesses I created a business plan and I have been able to launch a couple of businesses. So that slide is very important. In that slide I have mentioned what it takes to raise the funding. If you have the answer of most of the questions, in fact all of the questions, you're good to go for the funding. There are few other answers. Funding के लिए मैं एक और session ले सकता हूँ कि funding आपको कैसे attract करना चाहिए. What are the various people and agencies and avenues जिनको आपको reach out करना चाहिए. And when are you ready to go for the funding, etc.? I can take up a different session altogether. But yes, that slide will probably help you.
For the market research and further process, do we really need to get an MBA expertise for that, or we can do it by ourselves?
Very, very good question. Very, very good question. अगर आप वो list आप देखेंगे of all those unicorn companies, let me put it again. Just a moment. I tell you, उसमें से कितने लोग MBA हैं? You'll find very handful. बहुत कम लोग हैं जिन्होंने MBA किया है. Very, very few.
So most of them are engineers like us.
Yeah. Most of them are engineers. In fact, उसमें से काफी लोग engineering dropout भी है. I tell you. But yes, very, very good question because more often than not ये लगता है कि MBA is important. I wouldn't say कि यार MBA की अहमियत नहीं है. MBA बिल्कुल आपको माइंड ओपन करता है, हेल्प करता है, बट इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आपने MBA नहीं किया तो आप बिजनेस नहीं कर सकते हो. आप बिल्कुल कर सकते हो यार. Nobody in the world can stop you. Nobody in the earth can stop you. See, बैजू रविंद्रन, उसने MBA नहीं किया. वो MBA वाले वो कैट की कोचिंग देता था. उससे बच्चे पढ़ करके MBA करते थे. बट बैजू रविंद्रन को पता था यार कि मुझे MBA करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आई कैन स्टार्ट माय ओन कंपनी ऑल टुगेदर. रितेश ने जब कंपनी स्टार्ट की उस समय तो वो मतलब बच्चा था. उसने अभी भी रितेश, भाविश, etc. all of them are dropout. In fact, I'm very impressed with this guy called Nitin. I do not know, most of them are quite famous, but this guy Nitin Kamath, एक दो दिन पहले न्यूज में भी आया होगा. I've been following him for quite some time. He's the very pertinent question which you ask, यार हमको फंडिंग चाहिए क्या स्टार्टअप के लिए? This guy has been able to start his organization without the funding. Zero funding, mark my word. बिना किसी फंडिंग के उसने कंपनी बनाई है. और आज के डेट में all of this company, most of them except Byju's and few companies, in fact Flipkart etc., none of them are making money. Flipkart, आप Flipkart ले लो, आप Myntra ले लो, biggest of the biggest companies in India, none of them are making money, none of them are profitable. Paytm ले लो, यहाँ पे Oyo ले लो, they're all, Zomato ले लो, ये सारे की losses आपके करोड़ों में इनके loss है, करोड़ों में loss है. Zerodha, this guy is ये Bangalore Institute of Technology, he's a Bangalorean, ये Bangalore का ही है, Bangalore से वो engineering कर रहा था, he dropped out, और उसके बाद में इसने अपनी कंपनी चालू की. He didn't even complete his engineering. वो ट्रेडिंग उस समय करता था, इसने कंपनी चालू की. This guy has been able to create an organization which is worth 15,000 crore, 2 billion की इसकी वैल्यूएशन है. This last financial year, अभी जो मार्च 21 में फाइनेंशियल ईयर खत्म हुआ है, 1000 करोड़ was the revenue. Forget the revenue, 400 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट उसने कमाया. Can you imagine 400 करोड़? जो फ्लिपकार्ट, पेटीएम इतनी पुरानी कंपनी आज तक नहीं कमा पाई है रेवेन्यू. This 33-year-old guy has been able to do it in a matter of last 10 years. His take-home salary for last financial year or this year is going to be 100 crore. Not his. In fact, इसका जो भाई है और इसकी जो wife है, they will also be taking 100 crore because they have been able to build that year. And इसने engineering भी नहीं किया. He's pretty much like you. आपके जैसा ही है.
So you are telling about Flipkart losses. So how? I mean, they are bearing it from since long time, the loss. So how they are gonna bear it for such a long time?
Funding मिल रही है यार उनको. They have been able to pursue the investors that this is a profitable venture. If you remember again, one of my slide in which I talked about the very second slide, जहाँ पे मैंने बताया था कि 100-year-old oil and energy companies हैं, and then there are technology companies जिन्होंने 10 साल के अंदर में within next, in fact, last 5 years from 2015 to 2021, now they are 8 to 10 times bigger than those energy companies. All of them are profitable companies. If you look at their journey, initial 15 to 20 years, they all were in losses. 10 साल 15 साल उन्होंने पैसे गंवाए हैं, बट उसके बाद 2 से 3 सालों में उन्होंने इतने पैसे कमा लिए कि जितने भी पिछले 15 साल के लॉसेस थे, they were able to cover up everything in just 1 to 2 years of earning. आज के रेट में आप गूगल को देखो, गूगल की जो अर्निंग है has been phenomenal. Nobody can beat Google. As in, it's not impossible, but it's very difficult to beat Google.
And it takes a lot of courage to bear the losses and wait for the profit.
Absolutely. So it is very important that how you are able to build a very good value proposition in a financial plan, that you are able to persuade your customers, your investors. You mark my word, आज के रेट में फंडिंग लाना is far easier than it was about 5 years or 10 years before. आज के रेट में there are people who want to invest because they are like, अगर आज हम invest नहीं करेंगे, someone else will invest and they will be able to make more money than them. So they are also eager to invest. So funding is not a problem right now. What is important is a good person.
Thank you so much, and I really want a session for the funding also. And if not a session, then I would help
my fellow BITians. I would want my BITians that आप लोग कुछ स्टार्टअप बनाइए और मैं चाहूंगा कि आप लोगों का नाम मैं यहाँ पे प्रेजेंट करूं to subsequent batches. Yes, please. Next question.
Yes, sir. Another question is from Dushyant. Sir, can you tell us something more basic things, some basic things that we should do before starting of a startup?
ये काफी अच्छा क्वेश्चन है. इसको I look at it two ways. Number one, basic things मतलब कि आपके अंदर में क्या बिहेवियरल ट्रेट्स होने चाहिए, राइट? हमको कैसे बिहेव करना चाहिए, हमारा थॉट प्रोसेस क्या होना चाहिए, हमारा डे टू डे एक्शन क्या होना चाहिए, सो दैट वी आर रेडी फॉर द स्टार्टअप. उसके लिए ऑल आई वुड से, मैंने जो भी स्लाइड बताई है उस सारे स्लाइड के नीचे में गोल्डन में कुछ वर्ड्स लिखे हुए थे. अगर उस स्लाइड के गोल्डन वर्ड्स को आपने फॉलो किया होगा तो दोज आर दी answer to those are those basic things which you need to do before and during you are working in a startup or you starting yourself. That's number one. And number two is a technical thing. आपको startup चालू करना है तो like the student asked कि funding कैसे लाते हो, B plan कैसे बनाते हो, and then marketing plan कैसे बनाएंगे, etc. All of this, those are vast topics. I can have a session on those on those individually. But behavioral वाला part is more important. As in टेक्निकल तो आपको बहुत ज्ञान मिल जाएगा गूगल में, ये बिहेवियरल वाला इज द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट. ज्ञान भी आपको मिलेगा गूगल में, बट उसको फॉलो करना, प्रैक्टिस करना इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. But yes, if you are able to follow that, nobody can stop you to be there in that top 10 list. I hope, see, I'm somebody who believes a lot to, I won't give you direct answers. I will try to focus on the fundamentals. आंसर आपको गूगल में मिल जाएंगे यार, आंसर सारे रखे हुए हैं वहां पे, कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, बट आई विल ट्राई टू टच अपॉन द फंडामेंटल्स कि आपको क्या करना है, so that you are able to achieve that. I will try to focus more on that piece. So I'm so sorry I might not be able to answer your questions very precisely to the point what you're looking forward to, but I will try to put more emphasis on how can you get the answer of those questions. How पे मैं ज्यादा फोकस करूंगा. अभी मेरे को आपको कुछ ऐसा एक प्रॉब्लम कैसा सॉल्यूशन, रेडीमेड सॉल्यूशन नहीं देना है. मैं आपको ये बताऊंगा कि वो सॉल्यूशन कैसे ढूंढना है, वो सॉल्यूशन कैसे क्रिएट करना है. ओके, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज.
Yes, sir. So there is a question from Atul. What are your thoughts on solar panel or about solar panel companies in future? And another question from Rahul. We have what areas of industry we have to focus in the coming decade, which can be huge.
Yes, बहुत बढ़िया क्वेश्चन है. If you ask me, it is very important to market analytics, market trend etc. निकालना काफी, ये थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट भी है, थोड़ा आसान भी है. आसान इसलिए because lot of secondary research is available. आप रिसर्च करोगे आपको पता चल जाएगा which are the booming sector, ठीक है. बट ये डिफिकल्ट इसलिए भी है because everybody is working on that. It's not so easy. My advice is आपको कुछ एक्शन लेने चाहिए जिससे आपको ये पता चलेगा. My sincere advice is, but very careful, be very careful. Start investing in stocks like Zerodha का प्लेटफॉर्म एक्सेट्रा. नॉट जस्ट जीरोधा, आप कुछ भी यूज कर लो. आप स्टॉक में इन्वेस्ट करना चालू करोगे, अपनी हार्ड अर्न मनी, पैसा आप इन्वेस्ट करना चालू करोगे, ऑटोमेटिकली आप कंपनीज के बारे में जानना चालू करोगे कि कंपनीज क्यों ग्रो कर रही है, व्हाट आर द एरियाज वेयर दे आर इन्वेस्टिंग एंड व्हाई एनी कंपनी इज मेकिंग मनी, व्हाई दे आर ग्रोइंग. ऑटोमेटिकली आपको पता चलने लगेगा कि व्हाट आर द फ्यूचर इंडस्ट्रीज एंड द एरियाज दैट कैन बी ह्यूज अपॉर्चुनिटी. एंड आपको पता चलेगा उससे यार कि वो कोई कंपनी तो काम ही नहीं कर रही इस एरिया में, देन आप अपना वो बिजनेस स्टार्ट कर लोगे. सो आप स्टॉक में जब इन्वेस्ट करना चालू करोगे, यू विल रीड अ लॉट ऑटोमेटिकली. जब आपके खुद के पैसे लगेंगे, आपको हो सकता है शुरू में कुछ नुकसान भी होगा, आप अपने आप वहां पे पढ़ने लगोगे. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, द प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन दैट इज आस्क्ड, सोलर पैनल, नो डाउट अबाउट इट, ऑल ऑफ दिस रिन्यूएबल सोर्सेस ऑफ एनर्जी, आपने देखा होगा, लाइक आई मेंशन्ड दैट ऑल ऑफ दिस एनर्जी कंपनीज, they have always ruled the world and they will be ruling the world, no doubt about it. I do believe strongly that future the solar panel companies etc will rule the world. They will be among the top 10 companies in India. In India में भी आप देख लीजिए, NTPCs of the world etc, all of these are all biggest profit making companies. Mostly Reliance, the biggest companies in India, Reliance mostly उसका energy का business है. So energy, anything to do with the energy is definitely huge scope. आप लोगों के सामने में बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है आज के डेट में है. सोलर पैनल, you all are, most of you are engineering students, solar panel is an opportunity which will be there. आज से 5 से 10 सालों में this opportunity will be exploited big time. So please, my sincere advice, if all of you together can do something in this area, that will be phenomenal. Very good. Yes, please.
Next question is from Pratyush. What were the setbacks in your life and what lessons you learned from?
Oh my goodness.
When you initiated your startup, actually.
Yep. So I tell you honestly, as in, I'm not a individual startup like anybody else because I was a late entrant in this ecosystem. So I'm not somebody, yes, I was part of various startups. So what happens is that after graduating from BIT, I did my MBA, post my MBA, I joined Aditya Birla Group as a business management trainee. I worked for 10 years with Aditya Birla Group. And in this journey at Aditya Birla Group, I was part of 2 startups. एक international brand launch किया, एक online brand launch किया. And that is where startup का कीड़ा, startup bug bit me actually. So I would say that setback, obviously startup is a difficult journey. आपको काफी compromises करने पड़ते हैं. And mostly, like I mentioned, that a lot of आपको financial compromise करना पड़ेगा. It will take a lot of hard work to be successful. And startup में आपको जीरो से चालू करना पड़ता है, एकदम जीरो से, एकदम धीरे, एकदम नीचे से चालू करना पड़ता है. आपका कितना भी एक्सपीरियंस हो, कितनी भी सीनियोरिटी हो, and then you need to start from the zero like a ground person. So it requires a lot of a behavioral shift, change in the attitude. So all of those sacrifices you will have to do, and then only you will be able to part of the startup ecosystem. So just to share that, yes, obviously, in a startup ecosystem, when you decide to join a startup, obviously you will have to sacrifice on the money and the opportunity front. आपको बहुत सारे क्विक मनी दिखेंगे कि यार आप वहां पे आप पैसा कमा सकते थे, बट आपने छोड़ दिया उसको पर्पसफुली. Entrepreneurs are bound to lose some money initially so that they gain later. वो स्टार्टअप की टेंडेंसी है. So similarly, I had a lot of opportunities that in a big company, bigger position, etc., I gave away all of this. I focus a lot on that instead of going for a lucrative, very very high salaries, how can I be a part of a small startup where I'm learning more? I'm able to create value for that startup and grow with the startup by sacrificing those high paying checks. So those are the setbacks. At the same time, yes, family life also takes a toll in a startup. Working in a startup is not very it's not easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of courage to build. At times आपके पर्सनल स्पेस में भी थोड़ा इंक्रोचमेंट होता है, आपको वहां पे भी कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना पड़ता है. So be aware of those sacrifices. I can have a separate session, like I mentioned, what are the behavioral traits required, what are the pros and cons of the startup. I think my previous speaker spoke about the startups, what it takes. He would have covered some ground. Yes, please. Next questions.
Next question is from Vishwadeep. How many of your startups failed before you succeeded in final startup?
Okay. यार बहुत होता है यार, बहुत. Like I gave a broad picture that in fact like I told Dipinder जिसने Zomato start किया, in fact Bhavish जिसने Ola start किया, they all, मतलब मैंने तो वहां पे एज लिखी है जब when they founded the company, they started this struggle way before. So typically it depends upon लोगों की अपनी जर्नी के ऊपर डिपेंड करना is very subjective question. कुछ लोग 1 से 2 साल में ही सीख जाते हैं and they are able to form the company, जो अगले 3 से 5 सालों में सक्सेसफुल मीन्स एक वेल फंडेड स्टार्टअप बना लेते हैं. एंड फ्यू पीपल उनको 20-25 ईयर्स लग जाते हैं और कुछ नहीं कर पाते हैं. दैट्स द हार्श रियलिटी एंड द सक्सेस फैक्टर इज वेरी वेरी स्मॉल, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट. 90% भी मैंने काफी, यानी ये तो थोड़ा पुराना नंबर है, 90% फेलियर मैंने काफी मतलब safe number बताया. Typically this number is quite high.
So there's another question from Anubhav. Hello sir, my startup is based on electric vehicle, but at this time more people prefer petrol and diesel vehicle. But we have to aware about the pollution by it. So how can I convince the targeted customer to prefer electric vehicle, or how can I aware mass people about the pollution or electric vehicle advantages?
Very good question. बहुत बढ़िया. इस सवाल का जवाब है मार्केटिंग रिसर्च में. आप एक मार्केटिंग रिसर्च करेंगे, आपको पता चल जाएगा कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए. Customer, yes, you're right that most of the people, they do prefer petrol and diesel vehicle, but is that the reality? If you analyze in a deep manner, कस्टमर को फर्क नहीं पड़ता पेट्रोल से चलता है डीजल से चलता है. कस्टमर को चाहिए खर्चा कम होना चाहिए मेरा. पहला तो मुझे राइट अपफ्रंट इन्वेस्टमेंट व्हीकल में ये कम होनी चाहिए एंड रनिंग कॉस्ट मेरा कम होना चाहिए. अब वो पेट्रोल से चले, डीजल से चले, पानी से चले, हवा से चले, सन से चले, doesn't really matter, right? So their basic need and the want is that the cost should be low. My suggestion is that keep working on your thought process, do a marketing research, or maybe तो मार्केटिंग रिसर्च करोगे तो आपको ये पता चलेगा जो मैंने आपको बताया है. अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी रिसर्च करोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि ये हम कैसे बना सकते हैं. लाइक इफ यू वांट टू टेक माय क्विक एडवाइस, क्योंकि मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस आर लुकिंग फॉर अ क्विक एडवाइस, I do see opportunity in twofold. Number one, यार देखो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल ना बहुत लोग बना रहे हैं आज के रेट में, बहुत सारे लोग बना रहे हैं. तो yes, there is a scope, no doubt about it, but there are very few people who are working on the other alternative. What is the other alternative? And that's where I do believe कि BIT and BIT के बच्चे काफी अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं. आज से कुछ साल के बाद में पेट्रोल एंड डीजल व्हीकल जो है ना वो बैन हो जाएगी एंड पीपल विल बी बाउंड टू शिफ्ट फ्रॉम इस व्हीकल को छोड़ करके इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल में जाने के लिए. Now what is happening, the government has started the old vehicle scrapping policy. Actually हो ये रहा है कि स्क्रैपिंग पॉलिसी में ज्यादा डिस्काउंट नहीं मिल रहा है, ज्यादा फायदा नहीं हो रहा है. गवर्नमेंट बोल रही है आप इसको स्क्रैप कर दो, आप इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल लो, हम कुछ उसको रोड टैक्स देंगे, कुछ फायदा नहीं हो रहा है. आज के डेट में गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी ने अलाउ नहीं किया, बट मुझे लग रहा है अगले कुछ सालों में गवर्नमेंट विल डेफिनेटली अलाउ कि आप अपने एग्जिस्टिंग डीजल एंड इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल को इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल में कन्वर्ट कर पाओगे। तो आप यहाँ से डीजल या पेट्रोल इंजन को निकाल दो, उसमें इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर डाल दो, और आपकी लिथियम आयन बैटरी आप जो भी डिजाइन करोगे, हाइड्रोजन आयन जो भी फ्यूचर बैटरी डिजाइन करोगे, सोलर पावर डिजाइन करोगे, आप उसको चिपका दो। मुझे ऐसा लगता है, मेरा पर्सनल बिलीफ है कि आप लोगों में से जो भी ये टेक्नोलॉजी बना पाएगा कम से कम कॉस्ट में, कि एग्जिस्टिंग व्हीकल को उसका इंजन निकालो, उसी बॉडी को यूज करके उसमें आप इलेक्ट्रिक मोटर डाल दो और उसमें बैटरी डाल दो, ये दो चीजें डाल करके कम से कम खर्चे में जो कर पाएगा, आई कैन, यू मार्क माई वर्ड टुडे, उसका नाम उस 10 लोगों में होगा भाई। आज मैं बोल रहा हूँ, ये लिख के ले लो, आज से 10 साल के बाद में डेफिनेटली वहां पे होगा उसका नाम। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन प्लीज।
Sir, another question from Rishabh. As you were head of business operations and planning of Aditya Birla Group and also led their e-commerce and retail platform, can you explain why their fashion platform above.com failed to compete with rivals such as Flipkart and Amazon?
बहुत ही दिल छूने वाला सवाल है भाई ये। इट्स लाइक अ ब्रेकअप। सर ब्रेकअप क्यों हुआ पूछ रहे हो? ओके यार, ऐसा है, I'm so sorry to use this. I do not know whether I can use this lingo or not, but
Okay,
yes,
sir.
yeah, स्टार्टअप जो है ना बहुत ही मुश्किल होता है उसको मेंटेन करना, वो बहुत ही खर्चीली गर्लफ्रेंड की तरह होती है। so हुआ ये कि स्टार्टअप में above.com, any of the startup, they cannot make money right from day one, and then they need heavy investment, and they will be able to make money after they got certain, एक आपके पास में एक अच्छे कस्टमर बेस हो जाते हैं जो आपको पैसा पे कर रहे हैं, आप वहां से प्रॉफिट कमाते हो। अगर आपने मेरी स्टेजेस देखी होंगी, मैंने उससे बोला था कॉन्सेप्ट होता है, मार्केट समझते हो, आप बीटा अल्फा बीटा लॉन्च करते हो, पायलट करते हो, आप रेवेन्यूज लाते हो, तब जाके प्रॉफिट आती है, यानी कंपनी लेवल पे प्रॉफिट। तो हुआ ये above.com के हम लोगों ने जब above.com स्टार्ट किया था, टिपिकली उस समय ट्रेंड ऐसा था कि जो भी स्टार्टअप या जो भी कंपनीज है 5 से 6 साल इन्वेस्ट करती है, उसके बाद में फोकस प्रॉफिट, तो 5 से 6 साल के बाद में वो प्रॉफिट फोकस करने लगते हैं। और हम लोगों ने भी ऐसे ही किया था कि हम इस एनवायरनमेंट में काम कर रहे हैं जहां पे यस हमारे पास मिंत्रा है, जेबोंग है, फ्लिपकार्ट है, अमेजॉन एक्सेट्रा है, वी आर कॉम्पिटिंग विद देम, तो वो लोग भी 5 से 6 साल के बाद में प्रॉफिट पे फोकस करेंगे, एंड हैंस वो कम डिस्काउंट देंगे, ठीक है। अब हुआ ये कि हम लोगों ने जब चालू किया तो इनिशियली तो 3 साल काफी अच्छा गया, बाय देन वो कंपनी ने 7-8 साल कंप्लीट कर लिया। हमको लगा कि भाई अब वो प्रॉफिट पे फोकस करेंगे, डिस्काउंट कम करेंगे, और उन पे मतलब प्रेशर रहेगा थोड़ा प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी का। डिस्काउंट उन्होंने कम किया नहीं, दे कंटिन्यू टू स्प्लर्ज, 1000 रुपए की चीज 200 रुपए में बेचते रहे। अब हमको अगर पैसा कमाना है, वही 200 रुपए की चीज हमको 400 रुपए में देगा। अब कस्टमर तो कस्टमर है, इंडिया में सेम चीज जो 400 रुपए में बिक रही है 200 रुपए में बिक रही है, व्हाई वुड एनीबॉडी पे 400 रुपीज, राइट? सो वी टुक अ वेरी कॉन्शियस कॉल एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम कि अगर above.com को चलाना है तो हमको और पैसे जलाने पड़ेंगे यहाँ पे, हम अभी प्रॉफिटेबल नहीं हो सकते हैं। बट एट द सेम टाइम दैट मनी वी एज अ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कुड हैव यूटिलाइज्ड इन अदर बिजनेसेस, लाइक दोस वर द टफ टाइम्स। वहां पे मतलब आइडिया एज अ बिजनेस वाज स्ट्रगलिंग बिकॉज जियो आ चुका था, आइडिया को पैसे की जरूरत थी, तो आइडिया को वोडाफोन के साथ में मर्ज कर दिया, वी स्पेंड मनी ओवर देयर एज अ ग्रुप फिलॉसफी। अल्ट्राटेक ने जेपी सीमेंट को एक्वायर किया, तो उसको पैसे चाहिए थे एक्विजिशन के लिए, वो पैसे हमने वहां लगाए। I do not know whether most of you or not, Hindalco is one of the biggest aluminum producer in the world. Hindalco was acquiring US का सबसे बड़ा एल्यूमिनियम कंपनी को एक्वायर किया, नोवेलिस, यूएस बिगेस्ट एल्यूमिनियम कंपनी जो कोक को एल्यूमिनियम और टिन कंटेनर वगैरह सप्लाई करता है, उसको हमने एक्वायर किया, उसके लिए पैसे चाहिए थे। तो एज ए ग्रुप वी डिसाइडेड दैट रेदर देन बर्निंग मनी इन द स्टार्टअप, यहाँ पे हम पैसा वहां पे लगाएंगे। एंड फैशन स्पेस में हमारे पास में ABFRL ऑलरेडी है, विच इज अ ऑफलाइन बिजनेस जो नंबर 1 बिजनेस है इस पूरे इकोसिस्टम पे, विच इज अ 9,000 करोड़ रेवेन्यू राइट नाउ, विच इज अ गुड एबिटा पॉजिटिव कंपनी, बहुत बड़ी कंपनी है। सेकंड बिगेस्ट इज अरविंद जो 1800 करोड़ की कंपनी है, 2000 करोड़ की कंपनी है। इस इंडस्ट्री में ये 9000 करोड़ की कंपनी है आज, जो अपने सेकंड बिगेस्ट कॉम्पिटिटर से 5 गुना बड़ी कंपनी है। So those are the decisions, very, very rational decisions we took. But obviously, it was very, very painful for me because इसके nuts and bolts, इसकी coding, हर एक चीज मैं day one से इसमें associated था. I worked very, very closely with Mr. Birla and everybody, and we wanted above.com to, be a part of a one of this unicorn, one of the biggest company, somehow we could not succeed. Despite having a Mr. Birla ji type के ऐसे बड़े investor होने के बाद में भी हम succeed नहीं हो पाए. So those are the, at times hardship startup has to go through. Yes, please.
Sir, another question from Kritika. Sir, how can we connect with you outside of this meet?
That's a very, very good question. I would not be able to share my, personal phone number for all my privacy reasons. However, there is a professional network called LinkedIn. That's the only place I'm available. I do not use Facebook, etc. So I would sincerely advise that any of you would want to connect with me, please connect me on my LinkedIn profile. Send me the request. I'll be more than happy to connect you. You can message me over there. I'll be responding to you guys.
Okay, sir. We will share your LinkedIn profile name in Instagram, so everyone can reach you.
Yep.
So another question is from Shashank. Sir, company legal register करने के लिए कितना पैसा लगता है?
Good question. यार लीगली रजिस्टर करने के लिए ना बहुत ज्यादा पैसे नहीं लगते हैं. कंपनी रजिस्ट्रेशन इन इंडिया हैज बीन रिलेटिवली इजी नाउ, तो इसके लिए बहुत ज्यादा पैसे खर्च करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आई एम एक्चुअली, तो दिस करंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वेयर आई एम एसोसिएटेड, दिस कंपनी वी हैव फॉर्म्ड इन सिंगापुर. वी आर इन अ स्टेज ऑफ फॉर्मिंग इन इंडिया एंड आई विल बी वन ऑफ द डायरेक्टर. अभी मैं उस स्टेज में हूँ, तो मुझे अभी करंटली कितने पैसे लगते हैं वो पता चल जाएगा कुछ दिनों में, अगले 15-20 दिनों में. आई विल बी एबल टू शेयर विथ यू. तो एक्सक्यूज मी राइट नाउ, दिस क्वेश्चन आई विल आंसर, बट आप गूगल करोगे आपको पता चल जाएगा. एक्चुअली गवर्नमेंट चार्जेस आर लेसर, वो बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली यू नीड टू बी वेरी क्लियर कि भाई आप कैसे रजिस्टर करना चाहते हो. आई थिंक मुझे ब्रॉडली लगता है इसमें 10-15 हजार से भी कम पैसे लगते हैं कंपनी को रजिस्टर करने में लीगली. अगर आप एक अच्छी कंपनी बना रहे हो, बड़ी कंपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बना रहे हो, अगर आप अपना शॉप बना रहे हो, तो शॉप को एस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए तो हार्डली 1000-2000 रुपए ही लगते हैं.
Okay, yes, sir.
Next.
Sales manager or sales executive wants to increase their sales in a company. What are the steps he or she should take to increase?
Marketing research. They should rely very, very heavily on marketing research. जब आप marketing research करते हो, आपको पता चलता है कि market में क्या gap है, customer को क्या चाहिए और आप क्या offer कर रहे हो. So ideally, salespeople should be able to. Salespeople are the channel and the link between the organization and the market. So they need to connect this two. Customer को क्या चाहिए, आप क्या offer कर रहे हो. They should be able to communicate. And this is precisely the step. So one of my slide I talked about it. What are the questions to be answered? If the salesperson is very clear on that answer, will be definitely able to increase the sales. Yep. What next?
But sir,
Samar, I'm so sorry. Your voice is cracking. I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible. Please come again.
So if you want, we can.
I'm so sorry. Nagpal ma'am, are you able to hear Samar what he's saying? Could you, Nagpal ma'am,
No,
or Alok?
Samar,
Alok, if you
your
can
voice
repeat,
is
please.
cracking.
No problem. If any of you
Hello?
could say, what is he trying to say?
Which question, Samar? Which question I can?
I was.
किसका क्वेश्चन बोलना है समर?
Samar, no problem. What I believe is that it was definitely a very, very insightful. It was a good interacting with all of you. So what I do is that we can take up more questions in an offline manner, and maybe in subsequent sessions. I would be happy to connect once again. So I would request, if possible, we should conclude the session now.
Sir, one question is, can you share your 6-hour course information again?
Nagpal man, I'm very, very sorry. Your voice is very, very low. Alok, were you able to understand?
Sir, one question is there. Sir, can you please share some more information about the 6-hour course you are talking about?
Yep, sure. So what I've done is that I've shared the link in the chat box of this very presentation. In the second last slide, this link, this course is available.
Okay.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Yes, Samar, I can
Yes.
hear you now.
Yes, Samar. Yes, Samar.
There was a network issue. Nagpal ma'am, we can't hear you. Your voice is very low.
Samarjit, you can save this link. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please.
ये जो सर का लिंक है ये आप सेव कर लीजिए and then we will share this through our email ID also.
Okay.
To the
Okay, ma'am.
registered
LinkedIn.
participants and LinkedIn also.
Yes, sir. Actually, I was asking if you want us to share your all the today's slides that you have showed in the session, so we can share it to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have purposefully, recorded the information that can be shared with everybody. I've shared the link. Anybody can access that presentation.
Sure, sir. You can share it with us, and we will share it to everyone.
Yeah. I have shared that presentation in the link.
Samar,
I will be sharing that link with the Alok, and eventually you can share with everyone
Yes.
else.
Okay, sir. So everyone can just download it from Instagram bio. We will provide the link there. So I don't think, sir, there's any more question.
I can understand there were a lot of questions which I could not answer. Maybe most of the questions I could not answer. But I hope that in this particular session, you guys would have learned you would a little bit that how to
Dileshwar,
go
you
about
can
the startup.
take this question. Dileshwar?
On the cryptocurrency, ma'am.
Yes.
Again, see, I tell you,
It's a very burning topic in India.
yeah. See, all of these questions, these are it is just my opinion, what I believe about it. So cryptocurrency is again wonderful opportunity. In fact, one of my college juniors, Sandeep Nanwal, he's 2015 NITI pass out. He has founded this company called Matic Network and Polygon, India's biggest cryptocurrency platform. In fact, they are valued. They got this investment right now. Their current valuation is $13 billion. It is just a 2 weeks phenomenon, and they have been able to grow amazingly. My own junior from NITI College. So yes, if you were to ask me, there's immense potential lies ahead in this cryptocurrency. Having said that, yes, it's quite risky also at this point in time because of the volatility. Number one, globally, and number two, in India. If you want to do any business in India, you have to be aware of the law of the land, because legally you can be screwed up any point in time if things doesn't go. Indian laws are not so friendly and easy. So at this point in time, the way Indian economy is looking forward to cryptocurrency, they are not looking up to adding a lot of value. They have been they're neither saying no nor saying yes. They're taking a very safe stand. They're in a watchful mode. So my bet is that it is definitely rewarding, but quite risky. It will depend upon your own, capability. So entrepreneurship is a lot of risk and reward, which I can share in a different session altogether. But it will depend upon you. How do you want to take this up?
Yeah, definitely, sir. Again, we want to make session with you under this startup club. Definitely, we will do this.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, thank you, sir. So everyone loved it, and I'm sure about it. So thank you so much for the session. It was really great, sir. It helped everyone.
Thank you so much.
Now, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So now I would like.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Sir, please proceed. Okay, sir. Now I would request Professor Alok Kumar, our today's session coordinator, to deliver his vote of thanks. Alok, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Samarjit. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Our alumnus, Sri Dileshwar Deshmukh sir, co-founder and chief operating officer at V2 Technologies, respected dignitaries, distinguished participants, faculty members, ladies and gentlemen. A very good evening to one and all. On behalf of the organizing committee Startup Club, IIT Durg, I, Alok Kumar, deem it a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks. It gives me immense pleasure to extend my gratitude to all those who have contributed in one way or the other to make this event a success. At first, I express my profound gratitude to our speaker, Mr. Dileshwar Deshmukh, for kindly accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion. His presence has added grandeur to the event. We look forward to many more interactive sessions with him in future. I express my sincere gratitude to the chief patrons of this event, Sri Vijay Gupta, Chairman BIT Trust, and Sri IP Mishra, Secretary BIT Trust, for their encouragement and motivation. I would like to take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to the patron of the event, Dr. Arun Arora, Director BIT Durg, Dr. Mohan Gupta, Principal BIT Durg, and Dr. Manisha Sharma, Vice Principal BIT Durg, for their continuous support and guidance. I express my sense of obligations to the convener, Dr. Shubhita Nagpal ma'am, for her valuable suggestion. I am thankful to all the participants attending the event. I am sure that have been benefited. I would like to acknowledge the unwavering support and cooperation I would also like to thank our student team who have been running around doing a lot of things to make this event a success. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you. Now, everyone please stand up for national anthem. Samarjit.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. It was pleasure connecting with you all. Looking forward to connect with you all once again sometime in future.
Definitely, sir.
Definitely. Definitely, sir. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Everyone here, so you are requested to
Okay.
सर ये जो अपना फीडबैक फॉर्म है
yes,
ये
Yes, ma'am.
भी अपन ने शेयर किया है बट पार्टिसिपेंट